We were told to stay on schedule, but after seeing how many slides Kevin has, I think we might start a little early, so I'll move right into our next speaker. Our next speaker is, we're going back to the Prairies, but this time to the province of Alberta, and our speaker is Kevin Nixon. And although Saskatchewan has the ability to claim the highest production per colony, Alberta definitely has the highest number of colonies and probably the largest number of commercial beekeepers. So with that, I'll turn the mic over to Kevin.
I'll sign an autograph for you a little later. Well, thanks for having me. It's great to be here. And I do have a lot of pictures and multiple pictures on a slide, so I'll try to rifle through them, probably because I drank too much coffee and I did not want to step out on the previous presentations that I had. There we go. So I'm from the province of Alberta, out west. So for those of you in the room that don't know where Alberta is, we're in Western Canada, straight above the state of Montana, and from Montreal it's about 3,000 kilometers. I drew a little line there. I'm near the Red Deer area. Right there. You like that, eh? So on that other slide there, that little rectangle, that's kind of the area we operate in. In our west area, we kind of border up to the foothills close to the Rocky Mountains, and not really foothills, but close to the mountains, the Rocky Mountains there. We stretch about, I guess, 120 kilometer east to west, and only probably about 60 kilometers from the north to the south kind of thing. And that last little bee that popped up there, that's southern Alberta. That's we're also involved in the pollination of hybrid canola seed in southern Alberta, and that's the pollination area, and I'll talk more about that a little later. So a little bit about Alberta. As Brielle mentioned, Alberta is Canada's largest honey producer, and we have about 311,000 colonies. I guess that's the last official number that's available. 40% of Canadian honey production is in Alberta. We produce 35 to 40 million pounds a year. 40% of all the bees in Canada, and about 120 commercial beekeepers that own 95% of the hives. Similar to other regions, the growth in the hobby and sideline sector has been very rapid. And so there's about 1,000, or over 1,000 hobbyists now registered in the province of Alberta. They have possession of about 5% of the hives in the province. And we're fortunate in the prairies in general, but in Alberta we have about 6 million acres of commercial canola that's grown in the province that bees love to make honey on. And we also have a fair bit of alfalfa and a little bit of clover and wildflower, depending on the region. So as mentioned, Alberta does have a pollination industry. We don't have really much fruit and veggie production, but we do have hybrid canola seed. There's about 80,000 hives, up to 80,000 hives per year that are used. Those numbers have been a little lower the last few years. And we contract directly with the seed companies, Monsanto, BASF, Bayer, and they've all switched names so many times recently, but you can see them there. But they're 100,000 plus acres in the province, seed pollinated. So this is our farm. I guess a little bit about how I got into it. I was not raised in a beekeeping family. My dad and I started beekeeping about the same time. My sister married into a beekeeping family, and that's how we were introduced to it. And we worked alongside them, helping out just here and there a little bit, and I kind of took a liking to it when I was 16, and I worked for a couple summers for a couple other beekeepers, and then I went to the Fairview College Beekeeper Technician program. and that's the first year that my dad went out and purchased 400 hives and got into beekeeping. He thought it'd be a good semi-retirement project for him, and the business has grown since then. I've been managing the farm since 2007. My parents are still around and help out on the farm with running errands and honey sales and whatever we can put them to work doing, but we all enjoy a little bit of space from each other now too. So the farm started in 1997. This is what it looks like in wintertime. We all get this winter. So that's my mom and dad. So I thought I'd better throw a picture of them that, that's put the credit due to where it's due. This was July long weekend this past year, so we were at home moving bees to pollination, and this is the life that they're living. So it's good. They deserve to enjoy it. But they went fishing out on the coast of BC coast. So this is our farm. And I guess here's a pointer. So this building here is the original building. This was a bear quarter when we started. So that first building we built, and that was our honey house that we started with. Then we added on this building a little later. That's all cold storage for super storage. And then we added on from there down to there. And that has a heated workspace, woodworking shop. And we have a small bottling packaging line in there that we don't use too much anymore. And then the very end, we employ all seasonal workers from Mexico. And we have housing accommodations in that end of the building. They have a nice accommodation. It doesn't look like much on the outside. They have 6,000 square feet in there. And they have, there's 17 bedrooms, 4 bathrooms, 3 kitchens. And they have a couple living areas, a couple TVs, pool table, and we like to treat our workers well and have things for them to do. And then there's my house, my parents' house, so that's our farm. Winter work. So we build our own lids and bottom boards. We get our, we assemble our boxes and then we paint them. We get all our boxes and frames from Western Bee in Montana, and then we build our own pallets there. We're dipping them and painting boxes here. That's bottom boards, and this is new lids that we just finished slapping together. So in the middle of winter, we're always looking forward to springtime. This time of the year, we're looking forward to winter. So. Springtime, we're raring to go. We do get some fair bit of snow some years. We have a snow blower on our skid steer there, and we're able to, if we have yards that are blowing in. So this yard, there are bees there, and that's where they are. So we use the snow blower and just kind of clear a path to them, and it makes it a little more accessible. So this is springtime. We do use pollen patties from Global Patties. We usually increase the pollen to about 15% pollen patty that we're putting on. We have a trap machine that we use if we need to. It makes it a lot nicer to get in and out of yards, and we can save walking a little bit. And call me lazy, but it's nice to do things a little more quickly and efficiently. You can see there's remnants of formic acid pads. So in the fall, we have been treating with formic acid. We will no longer be doing that. We're switching to oxalic acid treatments now. But that's bees coming out of winter, and that's a picture of the guys putting on pollen patties that we put in light treatments. There's a couple Mexican workers there that always seem to enjoy playing in the snow because they don't usually get to. This is I don't know, when I see this picture, all I see is a whole bunch of dollar signs. I don't know how everybody else feels, but the cost of production, this seems to go through the roof every year, and there's more and more products out there, health supplement products, and I don't know, as a beekeeper, I find it difficult in knowing what to pick, what to use, is it the right thing or not, I don't know. So this is what we're using right now. Apivar strips, we treat in the spring with Apivar. We seem to be getting really good control with it so far. Fumagillin, of course, we no longer have that. Hopefully next week is what I hear. But we have gone without it for the last year and a half, and I'm not sure if we'll use it or not. We'll see what the bees do. I didn't see much for nosema issues this past year. And Pro Health, of course. These are sugar tanks at the farm. We get liquid sugar delivered in the tanker. We have room for 5 semi-loads in those tanks. And we're fortunate because the sugar factory is only about a 4-hour drive away, and the whole industry in Alberta, we're fortunate to have good access to sugar, even though sometimes there's a bit of a backlog. But, we feed liquid sugar in the spring, raw feeding in barrels, and we feed pollen supplement in the feeders for the dry supplement. Springtime, when you get snow melt, sometimes we have some flooding problems, have to move some bees. These are just boxes made up and ready to go to make splits. We don't get any package of bees. We used to when we first started, but we've gotten away from that and mostly make up our numbers just by splitting from our own stock. We have purchased some nukes from another beekeeper in British Columbia to help offset the demand. I guess the pressure on our own hives to try and make some less splits if we can get away from it. Dandelions, it's been mentioned a few times in the previous presentations. Thanks for pollen. This past year, went to catch this swarm here. That's where it was. I shook the bees. Oh, I guess didn't shake them, but I swept them into a box. The box was right under here, and I stand there and still wiping out a few of them, and all of a sudden feels there, like my back is kind of warm. So then I reached around and started feeling like, oh yeah, my back is covered. So the swarm ended up in my back. So queens, we don't make our own queens. We do purchase our queens. Most of them come from Kona Queen in Hawaii. We get some out of California as well. And after seeing these past presentations and having those hives stacked up to the sky, I definitely maybe see some value in raising our own stock. I don't know, but purchasing queens is a huge expense. It's our 3 big expenses are labor, sugar, and queens, and so maybe it's worth taking a look at. But you can see on the table there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. So there's 1,700 queens there at $40 a pop. There's a lot of money sitting on the table. We get about 1,000 queens a week through the month of May. May and June, check queens, add honey supers, prepare bees for pollination. So our goal is to have bees strengthened up and ready for canola pollination for the 1st of July. These are trucks loaded up with empty honey supers to go out to the field. We take a wax box. We have these crates just for collecting wax when guys are scraping top bars and stuff, so we don't leave our wax sitting in the yard attracting skunks and things like that. We bring all our scrapings home. June, July, just getting ready, bees ready to move. We usually get the first calls for pollination that last week of June. We usually get about 72 hours notice from the seed companies requesting bees. And so when it's time to go, we want to be on the move. So we contract. Last few years, it's been between 4,000 and 5,000 hives for hybrid canola seed, and leaves us about the other half, 4,000 to 5,000 hives that stay home. So we run about 9,000 hives right now at our farm. Some days I don't know whether I'm a truck driver or a beekeeper. When it's time to move bees, it's about 400 kilometers from our farm down to the pollination area, and we have day crews working day crew and night crews working night crew, and it's about a 12-hour trip to to haul a load of bees down there from the time we leave the farm and drive down, unload them, drive home, and go to bed. It's about a 12-hour trip. So we usually start, around 8 p.m. and guys just get home around 7 or 8 in the morning and sleep for the day and do it all over again. So that's 3 loads of bees going down. We have 3 Hummers pulled behind the trucks. This truck hauls 160 hives. These ones haul 160. We have a couple different styles of pallets that you inherit things when you buy people out, and so we do have one style that we can fit 176 on those new trucks. Like to see the bees nice and strong for pollination, so it's nice when you're unloading them to have the bees hanging out a little bit. It's good sign. We get paid. The companies do inspect 10% of the hives, and the payment is based on how they grade out. And so because we come from a distance, we want to capture every cent that we can get, and so we want to send strong bees down to pollination. Some nights we get cool rainy days, and it allows us to move bees during the day, and to get a picture of daytime bee moving is not very often. So we had a rainy day, so instead of guys working the day shift, we loaded up and moved some bees. So we got 4 truckloads going down to pollination. And Jerry had a picture yesterday as well. We seem to stop at the same coffee shop when we move bees during the night. This is the Tim Hortons down at the south end when we're going to move bees, and it's really disappointing when you show up to your coffee shop in the middle of the night and this is what it looks like for their display. And I talked to the manager there a couple times, and I'm like, don't you know us beekeepers come through here every night through the middle of the night, and this is, what our selection is, but it never seemed to change. So this is our cold storage building. So we have a bunch of honey supers. This building, it's not quite full at this time, but there's a whole bunch of the rest of the buildings over here, and we just can never seem to have enough space. And we do keep growing our operation. We haven't really grown much the last couple of years, but we do try to keep growing. And I guess our philosophy is if you're not growing, you're going backwards. And so we will continue to expand, but we're just doing kind of small growth as we can. So there's an aerial picture here. This is home area. All those yellow fields, that's canola. And I guess we're fortunate in the prairies and in our region to have the canola fields around us. Bees do really well on canola. Here's trucks loaded up in our yard at home. That day we had them all loaded up. The bees were moved down to pollination. Once we moved them down with one super. Once they get down there, we go super them up because there is potential to make more honey. So this is the same day. We go down there with 4 trucks and a bunch of people, and we were able to unload them all and head home. It's a long day. Some days we're not getting home till 10 or 11 at night, and we're leaving at 5 or 6 in the morning. Honey pulling, we use black lids, fume boards, whatever you want to call them. There's a couple loads of honey coming home. Accidents happen. So yesterday, some of you that are here maybe seen a couple pictures that Jerry had in his presentation. We had a bad accident in 2016. 2 of our trucks collided with each other, which sounds really strange, but it did happen. And it happened earlier in the day. And fortunately, I was down. I was about an hour away from this area. This is down in the pollination area, and we had 3 guys in each truck, and 3 guys were minor injuries, and 3 guys were major injuries. The 3 guys that were in this truck, of course, that's what was left of it. And when I got there, they had helicopters waiting to take them, and but fortunately, all the guys that were involved in that accident recovered very well, and one of them still, well, the three that were minor injured still work for us, and the one that was major injury, he still works for us, and one was a worker from Mexico, and he actually is doing very well. I've been able to talk to him a few times over the last couple of years, and everybody recovered well, so that's the main thing. So these are the pictures that Jerry had showed yesterday. We, as a farm, we really appreciated the beekeeping community, and it's nice to know, you know, beekeepers, I think, all over the world experience the same thing. You have all the beekeepers behind you in the community, and they came together because we lost 6 workers and 2 of our trucks, and we had to pull honey off in pollination and haul all of our bees home, and so the whole bunch of them came together and helped us out with trucks and people, and we got all our honey pulled, and we got all our bees moved home that year, and it was, we wouldn't have done it without those people, so, we can't give enough recognition to them for helping us out. So this is our hot room, nice full boxes of honey. We have, in our hot room we can store or have space for about 4,000 boxes. We'll bring them in there for a couple days before we extract them. This is our extracting room. This is really a bottleneck for us. We have one extracting line in that hot room. We just cannot get through enough boxes in a day, and our tank capacity, if we want to give it proper time to settle, really is a bottleneck. But it's a little. We have that air frame rubber lift system. It seems to work well for us. This line we purchased in 2005, I believe it was. And it's worked well for us. It's put through a lot of honey, so we can't complain. There we go. So these are our honey tanks. We've purchased them the last few years. And each of those tanks holds 20 metric tons, so we're able to have a lot, for an export container load is 20 metric tons, so we were able to have 1 lot per container, and that's just to meet our customers' needs in the export market. Our labels, we have, of course, our name, the grade, the time it was filled, the date it was filled, our lot numbers, the first 3 digits, and then a barrel number, and then the last 2 digits. We have our CFIA registration number, and then, of course, the teranet and gross weights. We sample every 10 barrels in the lot, so we put 68 drums in a lot, and so we have 7 samples, and we check from our first sample to our last sample to make sure we have consistency throughout the lot. We want to have a homogenized lot. We use all brand new barrels that have food grade liners. So that's a stack of drums at the end of the year. On a normal year, this building, the drums continue from side to side, and there's really no space. Well, that's what we hope to see this year. That was not the case, so we're limited for space in our cold storage for our barrels as well. Fall feeding, and feeding is one of our biggest expenses. We feed about 5 gallons per hive of sugar in the spring, it seems, last year or 2, and we're feeding 5 or 6 gallons per hive in the fall, and we started using oxalic acid last year, vapor, and and we can do it after the bees are wrapped up. I think that's what we're going to continue with for now for fall treatment for Varroa. I think it'll be I'm hoping it'll be a little easier on the queens. And then we started using Bee Vital, and we're trying to completely see how that goes. Then, of course, we like to take time off in the winter. And this is a group, there's a couple non-beekeepers there, but there's a few beekeepers there. And we enjoy to, or like to take a little time and enjoy ourselves in the wintertime, do that kind of stuff. So this is, challenges that we have. Bear problem. This is actually from wind, believe it or not. We had a plow wind go through one day and just leveled a bee yard. This is from a bear digging under a fence. If you try to keep them out, they find a way. These ones here actually showed up at a yard one day. These hives came home from pollination, and we stacked them up, resupered them, came back to the yard a little while later, full honey or something, and 3 pallets of bees were missing, and somebody came and stole them. And on this style, the bottom board is the pallet. And I don't know, I imagine that they just got the crap stung out of them when they moved them, because those bees were pretty strong. So I think they probably got what they deserved. This one here actually happened 2 weeks ago, and that's from a bear. This is some video action. We've been having trouble the last couple of weeks with this bear, and this was actually sent to me this morning. It was from last night. You can see the date there, September 9th, 9 p.m.
Yeah, I know those big ones.
Such a cute little bear, right?
We need
It's pretty tall. So. No, this one that is actually 2 miles away from the previous yard that was fenced, and but he just came out and oh. Sorry, this one here. There you go. That's the one I was looking for. So he tipped it over. That's just a feed box on top. We have hive top feeders on some of our bees to feed the bees right now. So hopefully he will find somewhere else to go. So we do export most of our honey. And in Canada, we produce way more honey than we consume. So we need the export market. Canada produces about 45,000 metric tons of honey, and our consumption 500 grams per capita. So we export about 19,000 metric tons. Canada also imports 7,000 metric tons. But these are our main honey customers for the Canadian industry. So you see United States, Japan. So we've been exporting to Japan for the last few years, and it's been a good market for us. CFIA, of course, is our regulatory body, and there's lots of documentation that has to go with it. That the paperwork becomes so burdensome, and even more so recently. And we're really not a fan of it, but we do what we have to do. So we have our sanitation programs and checklists, and we have to send our samples, and we get tested in the lab. Daily logs, checklists, then it's loading honey. So this here is loading a container. So we have one of those fancy ramps built by Pollination Prairies, and we're able to drive right into the containers and load them up for shipping. And we have to put a seal in every drum. So this is containers going for Japan. We double stack in the container, 68 drums in a load, and And then this is going to the States, or if we ship within Canada, then we can load them single layer. And we drive in and we can use a Hummer to load those ones because we can fit in the container with the Hummer. So this is going over to Japan. It's nice to see your honey sitting in a warehouse when it's on the other side of the world. And the Canadian honey, Alberta honey, has a great name in the Japan market, and you know, we're proud to be a part of that. And I think as a Canadian industry, we can be proud that we have a place that's. It's nice to see them labeling single source, single country of origin. I think we can all be proud. This is a little bit of a video that working with a company in Japan, doing some, I guess, was just representing Alberta honey, not necessarily our farm, but we worked with them. It's in Japanese, so I don't know what to translate it. Good luck for the translators. So this was shown on TV stations in Japan, and this is a couple years ago. But it really pays to, I guess, invest in the markets that you're looking to sell into, and I guess bring the name of Alberta honey to the forefront. Try to gain a little bit more market access. This is our crew. This one here is a couple years ago when we took the crew out to play paintball. This is our crew this year. We're missing a few guys in there. A couple had to go home early, but we have a good group of guys. This guy's been with us for 18 years now, and a bunch of other group of them have been with us for 7 or 8 years, and some are on year 5. So we have a really good group of guys, and they do great work, and you have to trust your guys and train them well and treat them well, and hopefully they stick around. We're proud to support research. We work with, researchers can use our bees to do some, I guess, work when they want to or need to, and we're happy to work with them and participate in that. Of course, we work together with the seed companies, but even if we don't work directly with the seed companies, it's important to work with these companies. They provide us health products for our bees, and had the opportunity to go to the Bayer Bee Care Center down in North Carolina, and this is at Monsanto headquarters down in the States before all the amalgamation and changeover. But this is with the board of the Canadian Honey Council a few years ago. They were working on the RNAi stuff for controlling varroa, and it was it's good to stay connected with these guys. This is with the Bees Matter program. They're giving out pies last year in the city of Calgary, just bringing awareness to the public about honeybees and pollination and the benefits of bees. So it's good to work together. And this is our future, I guess. I don't know. We started building this building a couple years ago because we're always limited on space and our capacity. So it's not finished yet, and with the current honey market situation, I don't know when it's going to be finished, if it's going to get finished, but it's a big project for us, but we are hopeful that one day it will get done. That is it. So, thank you.